Adam, last year you had the Broncos going 2-14, and we didn't have big expectations of the Broncos, even us here in Denver. But when you put them out at 2-14, I mean, it got our attention. In fact, it got our attention so much we said, well, this is the bulletin board material you'd want. And you became our patron saint of pessimism. We put
Yes.
up a picture of you with your pick, and there's only two games that you thought they would win, and you were just the guy. You were the chip on our shoulder, that sort of
A
thing.
lot of inspiration, Adam. A lot of it.
So let me start there. After you made that prediction, we did talk about it quite a bit. How much grief or reaction or what did you get from Broncos fans through social media or other ways that they may be able to reach out to you?
I would say reaction is a good way to put it. I think that everybody listen, they didn't necessarily agree. And like you guys just said, it's like, hey, we didn't think we were going to be good, but dude, we're not that bad. Like we're not the worst in the league. Like whatever you think of Joe Flacco, notwithstanding, but we're not that terrible. But you know what? I made friends with people. We talked it through, and we had positive conversations. I got to say, like Denver fans are passionate, but you know what? They're also, they're also kind.
Yes.
Oh,
I
be
guess.
careful, Adam. I could see you
Right.
winding up to say
I'm
something
sorry.
that's going to make us mad here,
No,
Adam.
no, they were totally cool. Like, no, they're passionate. Like, you love your team, and like what I would expect. Like, I like baseball. I'm an Angels fan. If anybody ever disrespects Mike Trout, I'm ready to throw. And so I get it. Like, I understand where the fans are coming from, and everybody was cool. We all said what we had to say, and we let it play out. And I think what we got at the end of the season. Now, if you were of the mind that they weren't going to be good or going to be about 500, you thought, okay, finish where you thought they were going to be. There were a couple people who had told me that they were going to be 11-5, and we ended up shaking hands and said, listen, they shot the middle. What it was,
Yeah.
you look at it two different ways. You could be like, look, I didn't think that Joe Flacco was going to be the answer. He wasn't. I didn't think you were going to make the playoffs. You didn't. But at the same time, you finished second in the division. You showed a lot of promise at the end of the year with Drew Lock. You won 4 out of your last 5. A lot of positive steps. So I'm willing to say that I got that one wrong. But, and I hope, and I'm not trying to make it up to you by anything because that doesn't motivate me, but I think that this team is headed in the right direction, and I think they're going to be very good this season.
Well, yeah, I mean, it got our attention again when it was 180 degrees in the other direction, and now you got them winning the AFC West and beating the Chiefs. So we're like, wow, what happened to Adam Rank? Like,
Where'd it come from? What's it come down to?
What
Why are you
changed?
so optimistic this year?
I'm the big show. Like you don't know if I'm heel, if I'm face, if I'm turning on people. Who knows what's going on? You know what? Here's the thing. Now, number one, let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know that the Chiefs fans, for a team that just won the Super Bowl, their fans are so fragile. I'm like, look, like since 2008,
Awesome.
every Super Bowl winner has either won the same amount of games or less. Last year, the New England Patriots were the first Super Bowl winner since 2008 to win more games than they had won during their super season. So they're either going to hold steady or they might drop a game here or there, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to be in the mix for the Super Bowl. So that just happens to teams when you're the defending champs. Everybody's gunning for you.
Well, hey, that's
And
music
so
to our
the one
ears.
thing- Yeah, and the one thing that I like about the Broncos, and I don't want to get too, you don't want to make the error of getting too bullish on the end of the season. And I think that Drew Lock playing well at the end of the season is something to take note of. You look at him, I kind of see like a young Matt Stafford. And you're like, okay, it seems like John Elway might have solved this problem that has been hanging over his head for quite some time since Super Bowl 50. But one of the things I believe that John Elway never gets enough credit for is how well he constructs a roster. The defense, which last year was already pretty good, is going to be much better this season. You got Bradley Chubb back. A.J. Bouye, I think, is an upgrade over Chris Harris Jr. based on the way that Harris played last year. And then, for whatever reason, the Titans had to get rid of Darrell Casey, and you're like, oh, yeah, we'll just throw him into the 5 technique for the Broncos. So a defense that was already in the top 10 Now all of a sudden they're way better. And then John Elway has got this young quarterback, and he's like, here's an idea. How about we surround our young quarterback with a lot of talent? Like, they don't do that in Green Bay, where they would just assume draft your quarterback's replacement as give him a wide receiver to throw to. Elway went the other way. He brought in Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, brought in Melvin Gordon, and now that team's loaded offensively. So to me, it would be dangerous not to respect what John Elway has done, and that is the reason why I think that this team is going to be very good this season.
Well, right on. We love to hear that. Colin Cowherd is also very bullish on the Broncos, whereas we see Nick Wright, who's on Fox Sports. He's the new you, by the way, this year.
We like to call him Nick Wrong,
right.
because he's the new you, and we didn't like you last year, but we love you this year.
This year we think you're
Now
awesome. Last year was a problem, but he's got the Broncos going 3-13. But see, what I loved about your breakdown right there, you took everything in total to look at stuff. And I think you're right about the vast majority of it. But in all honesty, Adam, you're more optimistic than we are here in Denver for the most part. We would love for you to be right this year and go in that direction. But I like your analysis because it's total. You're recognizing some of the problems, but some of the upside as well. Why do you think the upside wins out, though? At the end of the day, what do you think? And I'm gonna guess you really have a high opinion of Drew Lock, because if you didn't, none of this would really make sense.
Well, no, and one thing I failed to mention as well is that they made a move on they improved the offensive line as well, which was another little bit of a problem. I don't know how it was possible, but when you think of all the players that LSU is putting out into the NFL right now, it looks like John Elway drafted his center of the future who should be there for the next 15 years. The thing is, when you look at his offense, I don't believe that it's constructed to the point where you need Drew Lock to go out there and throw for 5,000 yards. You just don't need him to do that because you have so many players available to him that can take over. Pat Shurmur is going to have a more aggressive offense this year that's going to be based on the running game. And so when you have Melvin Gordon, who at least for 2 games is going to be highly motivated, but I think for the whole season he's going to be ready to go. You have Philip Lindsay, a player who you should never bet against. It's like betting against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. You just don't do it. You never count out Philip Lindsay. And now you're not asking Drew Lock to go out there and do as much as some of these other quarterbacks have to do. And to me, I don't even want to make this comparison because it'll be terrible because I know you guys will hate it. I'm not even going to say it. But just imagine when Mitch Trubisky, in the year that he was good in 2018, how that defense carried them. He had to do just enough. And I think Drew Lock is better equipped. I think he's got a lot of talent. He's not going to have to carry that team. And so, we've seen it in recent years. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson won MVP awards in their second year. I'm not saying that Drew Lock is going to do that, but I think he has the ability to take that step forward. So I wish I could talk to Nick Wright and figure out, why do you, where are you coming from? What do you, the Chargers are the team that you should be concerned. That team, historically finds ways to squander talent. I understand, you look at the Chargers, that's a great defense. It's still the Chargers. It doesn't matter who the coach is. Right. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They find ways to blow it.
Adam,
Denver team.
Sorry. Adam, I saw that despite the Chargers, you're pretty high on the AFC West in the entirety. You like the Oakland Raiders. I saw you even think that Derek Carr could be a dark horse MVP candidate. How does that factor into your overall prediction for the Broncos?
Well, I do believe it's going to be tough. To me, it's how they come out of the gate. And, you look at the Broncos opening stretch. They got some tough games. I know they open on Monday night with the Tennessee Titans. They play the Buccaneers early. They play the Patriots. They have, but those are winnable games. And especially getting Tampa Bay early in the year before Tom Brady has acclimated to that offense would be a pretty nice, that helps out as opposed to playing them at the end of the season or anything like that. And I think the Raiders are going to be better. And I like the way that they've constructed their team. And I think that with Derek Carr, this is the first time since 2016, when he was an actual MVP candidate, but they have good receivers around him. Last year, the whole reason they brought in Antonio Brown was to give him a little bit of help. Obviously, we know how that situation ended up. Tyrell Williams was injured for part of the year. But now you got Hunter Renfrow. They got Henry Ruggs III. Darren Waller stepped forward, Foster Moreau, and they brought in Jason. They put talent around him as well. So I look at these teams with the young quarterbacks or youngish quarterbacks, how they keep stacking their offense. Like, it's great that you have a good defense, and like the way the Chargers are going to go after it, like they want to win every game 13-9, but I just don't think that it's possible. I think the Raiders are better equipped, and I think that offensively, especially with Josh Jacobs in the second year, I think that they can make some noise as well.
Adam, we appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. You are the prince of positivity, and we appreciate your prediction. Thank you, Adam.